Hello again. We're starting our new series of the month, the Fireside Chat. And the theme of the month is body and mind connection. And to start, we are going to interview Kat, and she's a reflexologist. And she will introduce herself. She has an amazing story and also amazing things to share about why we should take care of our faith. So, going to bring her in. Let's see. I was running. We had before technical issues. Let's hope this time it works.
All right.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. It's funny because I went this morning for a run and I had my headsets, and then I guess I forgot to disconnect them, and anyway. But welcome, Kat. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for accepting our invitation. And as I was mentioning before, September is the month of the mind and body connection, the mind and body Fireside Chat series. And then, Kat, you are the first one to join us for this series, and we're very happy to start talking about, of course, how our faith impact in our health, and also reflexology. So let's start first with what reflexology is before actually making your introduction.
Yeah, that's a really great question. A lot of people aren't actually familiar with reflexology, even though it has been an ancient practice from the Egyptian times. A lot of people don't quite know what it is. So basically what reflexology is based on the premise that our body is a network of nerves. And all of those nerves come down to the bottom of each foot, and there's over 7,000 nerves in each foot, which is amazing to think about. And there's reflex points on the bottoms of our feet, the sides of our feet, the tops of our feet, also on our hands and our ears. That's a whole nother subject. So those reflex points correlate with different glands, organs, and systems of the body. And a lot of times what happens is our body gets stuck in something called stress mode. And I know a lot of us are feeling that on another level right now. And it can be for a lot of different reasons. It can be for foods we eat, conditions in our body, what we're all going through right now with this pandemic. Mm-hmm. So what I do as a reflexologist is I do two things. Number one, I work at helping the client get out of that stress mode with deep relaxation techniques on the foot and turning that stress mode off. And then the second thing I do is I work on every single one of those reflex points with specific compression techniques. So what starts to happen is any blocked nerve impulses get unblocked, oxygenated blood starts to flow where it needs to, and hopefully the body gets into a better place of self-regulation, also known as homeostasis, which we are all familiar with in these days. So, yeah.
Wow. And now that you're getting more into, or we're getting more into, like, let's say, the science of reflexology. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question. You know that tockets were big on letting the toes free. Could you please explain to us the role of the toes from a reflexology point of view, and why it's important that earthing, that letting your toes to be in contact with whatever surface we are and free?
Mm-hmm. So it definitely is exciting to me when I looked at your product and looked at your socks, because I am definitely a big component at letting our feet breathe, letting our toes kind of spread out. There's a whole movement in wearing shoes and socks that let our feet, breathe, because it affects so much. Caring for our feet cares for our whole body. So I actually have a little reflexology chart to show you guys
and this is
the
great.
Different correlating points to the toes. So there's a lot going on in our toes. It affects our sinuses anything correlating to our head, our brain stem, conditions relating to sleep, hormonal balance, congestion, our eyes, our ears. There's so much going on in the toes. So when you're able to wear socks that let the toes come out and your feet are getting that impact, the toes are getting that impact, it's just affecting so much more than we realize in a positive way. So, yeah.
And then, so let's say we don't always have the time to go to a reflexologist, or now, you know, because of the situation, everyone is being careful and etc. What can we do from home, from us? How can we activate those points from the toes or the feet? Is there any kind of simple tip that you can share with us for us to do in few minutes? You know, like if it's I think it's so important, the consistency of taking care of the body more than the time length. You know, within a month we can spend a whole day at spa, but if the rest of the 29 days of the month we don't do anything, then the impact is not the same. So what can we do?
Yes, so I have, there's a lot we can do, whether you can go to a reflexology session or not. Number one is doing different exercises like Pilates or yoga with the socks that you guys have, where they can feel the input and let their toes, you know, kind of move around. But I have a really great reflexology technique that you guys can do at home. And I'm not going to put my foot up on the table to show you, but I'm going to pretend that my hands are the feet. So when you are looking at the tops of the toes, what you can do is, you know, get on the floor, get comfortable. Also make sure you're in a relaxed state of mind when you're doing this. It's very important to just get yourself into another room, away from the children, away from the noise, and just take some deep breaths in through your nose, out, and then just start rolling the tops of your toes like this. And just kind of work them out like that. And what that's going to do is that's going to help with any congestion you might have in your body, correlating to your sinuses, and just kind of work them out and just do a few rolls. You can also roll your toes. That's another way to kind of get all that circulation going between the toes. And if some of you just joined in right now, we're pretending this is the foot. And we're doing some at-home reflexology techniques to kind of work on those toes. So that's a simple one that everyone can do if they can reach their toes. You can even do maybe an Indian style sitting where your feet are crossed and kind of do it that way. And that's just a simple one that you can do at home. Another thing that I love to do is called earthing, also known as grounding, where you go outside, you take your shoes off, and you just have your bare feet touching the ground, and that just affects so much. A lot of you can Google that and kind of see the many benefits that earthing has as well. Even though that's not reflexology, that's kind of based in the same stream of, you know, getting your feet worked on, feeling that input. So.
Right. Like I remember always my mom saying that it's so good it's like a therapy to walk like on the sand, like on the beach.
Yeah.
You know, completely bare feet or on the grass. And I think this is what you're saying, right? Earthing. And that's something that we hope to bring as well, to go a bit deeper on that type of activity, because I think this is nice and relaxed. And then so let's talk a bit about you. Today I started kind of on the opposite like side that I usually start, but so what I have discovered, because my background is initially wasn't anything to do with fitness or textile industry, but it was more, it came out of passion, you know, talking. And then I love the stories, and something I have learned during my entrepreneurship journey is that, and especially in the fitness industry, and it's like there is so much, you know, behind that picture that you see in Instagram, behind that title that person has. and it's because either something happened in their life, there is a big passion behind. So who is Kat? Tell me a bit about, or tell us, share a bit about you and your journey to reflexology.
Yeah, it's an interesting journey. So I'm a mom first and foremost, and I have two boys. One is special needs and currently nonverbal and on a pretty severe level of autism. And a few years back, I was just in a very hard cycle of stress with him. There's a lot that goes with being a mom of a special needs kid, that I'm sure if another mom who's dealing with the stress in dealing with those similar, situations can understand. So I had actually gotten to a place where I lost feeling in the left side of my body, the left side of my mouth, just all of the feeling, the taste on the left side of my mouth just went. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if I was having a stroke. So I went to see a lot of different neurologists, doctors, and there was one neurologist that started asking me very comprehensive questions about my home life. And I thought that was odd, that a doctor would get that comprehensive. Usually they just, walk you out the door as quick as possible. But I started telling her what was happening, and she looked at me and she said, your body is in a chronic state of extreme stress. And when she told me that, I actually didn't believe her, because I didn't know that stress affects your body in a physical way like that. And so I kept on going to more doctors, more chiropractors, and it just became the same thing. They were saying the same thing to me. So I remembered back to different things that helped me in the past, and reflexology was one of them, because the great thing about reflexology is you don't have to try to figure anything out. You just sit there, you have someone caring for you, and turning that stress mode off, and you don't have to even think about it. So when I thought back to that, I was like, if I'm dealing with this amount of stress, how many other women and caretakers are dealing with this? So I really wanted to do something about it. So I started going to a certified ARCB certified school for reflexology. And as I was getting trained in reflexology, I then realized, whoa, this is what I've been going through. Stress has been affecting me like this. And I'm so grateful that I'm in this field, because I can use what caused me such pain and help other women going through similar situations. So that's kind of how the whole piece with reflexology thing started for me.
Wow, Kat,
Yeah.
that's a great story, and thank you so much for sharing that. And because I know it has a piece of being very personal, but I think is for me this is so important, and it's like we're not alone, and especially being moms, we all go through different situations, and our kids bring in our life so many emotions. And especially, well, I guess having a special needs kid is also a different challenge. So thank you so much, because you are an inspiration for other women. And also sometimes life, take us to do a detour of the path that we thought we were going to go, and become something, and also creating an impact in the community, helping others. And I think this is so important. So thank you so much for sharing that. My next question is, who inspires you, or who do you admire?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I have to say my clients inspire me, because working on so many different women and hearing the things that a lot of these women have gone through. And it's amazing how trauma affects our body a lot more than we realize. And, some women who were or are in abusive relationships, some people who actually do humanitarian work abroad, and then come home and their body is just in a state of PTSD, and just different women in different walks of life. And what they've gone through or what they're going through have honestly been so inspiring to me, not only to be able to help them, but just to, get to know other strong women has really been an inspiration for me not only in what I do as a reflexologist, but also for me, just as a woman and mom in general. I've just been so inspired on the journey I'm on. So
great. That's beautiful. And yes, you're right. We don't have to go too far to look for outliers in this world when we have, you know, so many people that we cross every day that have always something to teach us. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
My very last question is, what do you think of your own feet? And why I'm asking this is because in this Talkits journey, what I have found is like around 60% of the people don't like their feet, or there is something about their feet that they don't feel comfortable and want to hide them or something. So I'm all curious, what do you think of your own feet?
Well, it's interesting because my feet had changed as I've gotten older. I'm almost 40 years old, and going through 2 pregnancies, my feet got wider and fatter. But one thing I like to think about, and you know, as I became a reflexologist, I've learned more about my feet and how to care for them. And I like to think of my feet almost as a sound person. I'm a musician as well, so I think musically, and you know, thinking of our feet like a sound person. So when you're doing, like if you're presenting and you're doing a microphone, or if you're in a place of worship, there's usually a guy in the back that's a sound guy. And a lot of times we don't notice that sound person unless something goes wrong. And a lot of times, for me, before I was a reflexologist, I didn't know something was wrong with my feet until they hurt. So now, as a reflexologist, I have changed that persona, thinking of my feet and caring for them before I feel pain in my body, before I feel pain in my feet. And that's just kind of something that came up in my head that I thought I would share about what I think about my feet. You know, when I first started out doing this, I didn't really think about them. And now I think about them more and how beautiful they are. Whether they look beautiful to me, they are beautiful. They've carried me through so much. They've brought me through so many different places, and I want to give them love as much as I give the rest of my body love. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think this is one of the best, you know, reflections I've heard about faith. Thank you so much for that as well. Yeah. And then, Kat, when we talk, you mentioned about a product that you created, and I love a bit, you know, invented. And I love that you also invented a product. Can you explain what your product is, what it's for, and also where people can get it?
Yeah, so I also have another business called Peace Roots Apothecary. And what I do is I make magnesium-based herbal products. And the reason I do transdermal magnesium is stress is the biggest depleter of our magnesium levels. And magnesium deficiency can be related to lack of sleep. It can be related to muscle cramps. It can be related to restless leg syndrome. It can be related to a lot of different things in the body, because magnesium cares for so many different functions of the body. So I make an organic herbal infused magnesium cream, which isn't as stingy as the magnesium spray, which you can rub on your feet before bed or rub on sore muscles to help with inflammation. So all of that is in my online apothecary. People can look at that and see if maybe they would be a good candidate for magnesium cream.
Great. I myself am going to get one and try it. Like recently I went to this those floating pools, like little cabins, like
yes,
that is magnesium, and it's like you basically stay there for 1.5 hours just to get your body, you know, to absorb all that magnesium. And I have done one. I have two more to go, but I definitely would love to try your cream. Kat, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here today with me and sharing your story, your thoughts, and also thank you for what you are doing. This is amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to have been interviewed and kind of pulled all that stuff out of me to share with other women. And hopefully we can all learn to care for our feet better, get some of your socks and go to our classes or just wear them around the house and kind of do better things for our feet.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you so much. Have a lovely
All right.
day.
All right,
Bye.
you too. Bye, everyone.
Bye.